And we are live. Hello, everyone. Thank you for all waiting. Sorry about the slight delay. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Yewi, and I do the youth side of She Said So. But I'm also very music based. So with all that's what's going on, I just said I want to cater to people that look like me, especially Black women. But I just wanted to share some gems with some amazing women that I've met across the pond. Like literally, we're all over the place. So, but make sure, guys, subscribe to the She Said So YouTube channel as well. Follow us on Instagram. But yes, starting off, I'd like to introduce Damilola. Damilola, introduce yourself to the people.
Hi everyone. My name is Damilola Animashaun. I'm the managing editor at The Native. We're a pop culture publication we're documenting Nigerian and African popular culture and identifying, analyzing, and championing the culture tomorrow, today.
Literally day to day. What made you get started? How did you start off doing music with native, like writing for them?
Well, I've been working I went to uni. I did fashion journalism at uni, and when I moved back to Lagos, I just kind of started working in fashion media, but it doesn't really exist in Nigeria. So it then moved to just general like pop culture. I started working at a space called Combini, but they like shut down last year. And so it just felt natural to move to Be Native, where it's like a homegrown brand. It's for us, by us. And so it just made sense for me to venture over there.
The next lady I want to introduce, I've been bigging her up. She's like the queen bee. I love her. Portia, introduce yourself.
So hi everyone that's tuning in right now. So we're all queens, so not just myself. So yeah, I'm Portia Clarke. I am based in the UK. I have worked in marketing for 10 years and I've worked in music for about 13 years now. 13, 14 years. So that kind of shows I'm probably older than most of you on the chat today. And I do
younger than me.
I have good moisturizer. And I develop music strategies for brands and I do talent producing for brands when it comes to their global activations and documentaries, and also do marketing for consultancy for the likes of Sony, Fourth Floor Creative, Atlantic Records in New York, and consultancy for DSPs like Spotify. So that's what I do in a nutshell.
Sweet, amazing, good stuff. And last but not least, I want to introduce Savanna, who I accidentally met, but she can't get rid of me.
Introduce
yourself, Savanna.
Hey everyone, I'm Savanna Britt. Nice to meet you all. I am the owner of a communications agency called the Britt Print. We do public relations, marketing, content creation for just different fashion, entertainment, and lifestyle brands. I'm based in Lagos, Nigeria, but I am originally from New Jersey. And yeah, I bounced back between both locations throughout the year, 6 months in Lagos, 6 months in America. And yeah, I've been doing this since 2012. I've worked with a lot of different artists, everyone from Gucci Mane to Fat Joe to Made in Tokyo. And now I've expanded into the Afrobeats and Nollywood space. And it's been an amazing journey thus far. I love what I do.
Amazing, amazing. So my first question, which I'm going to aim at Savanna, since you just spoke, what made you pick music? Why the music industry?
I've always loved music. I grew up in a music household. My dad has like a collection of, no lie, over 1,000 CDs, even to this day. And I've always just had music in my face. I even took voice lessons my whole life from like age 9 up until high school. So it's always just been a part of me. And I think that music is one of the biggest platforms to really relay messages to people aside from politics. You can influence the world through politics, but you can influence the world especially through music. So I felt like that would be the perfect segue for me to really help push the culture forward. I think it's a perfect medium. People listen to hip hop all over the planet, whether it's in the Bronx, New York, whether you're in Seoul, Korea. It's an international language that everybody understands. So to be a part of that conversation is just something I've always wanted to be able to participate in.
Amazing. Portia, what made you pick music? Or did music choose you?
Well, from I was about 13, I always knew that I wanted to work in music. And I always knew that I wanted to work in the music business side of things. However, I didn't know that what I do now existed. You know, I went to college, studied music tech, so you know I know how to mix and master a song, which a lot of people know, but not they know now. And then I went to university and I did music management, branding, and promotions. Now that sounds really fun, but it was the economics of business. It was marketing strategies, copyright law, and things like that.
Wow.
Right, exactly. Just like Savanna, I come from, my dad has a musical background in the UK, and he was the first to start a pirate radio station that predominantly focused on Black music, dancehall, reggae, and gospel at the time. And he was one of the main promoters for that genre. So I was always around like the music business side of things. My mum didn't work in music at all, but I always loved the business side of things. But I just didn't know that what I do now was even a role. I always kind of thought, you know, as a woman working in music, it would be either a singer, a dancer, or the assistant. I didn't know you could be a manager, a marketing assistant, an event coordinator, event producer, talent producers. You know, I didn't know that all of these roles existed.
Literally, like, just to like piggyback, know what music was. Like, I didn't know the business side of music. I literally own it. Mind you, I'm still winging it. It's like I learn something new every day, where it comes from like the freelance world or like my 9 to 5. It's just literally, I'm like, oh, okay, you learn something new every day, especially like with social media and tech and how music, you know, is just literally everywhere. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this is up my street. I am made for this. But yes, Damilola, what made you go into music?
Well, I wouldn't say I like particularly chose music. Like someone said, did music choose you? Like I feel like that's kind of what happened with me. Like I said, I went to fashion school and I was like doing fashion journalism. But here in Nigeria, the biggest like facets of pop culture that spreads across like everyone, like there's no niche, like everyone listens to music, everyone like likes music, everyone likes all the musicians. And so that was the biggest part of pop culture, and that was the most popular. And it just kind of, and like I guess like in Nigeria, the Afropop scene here is kind of like, I've watched it grow into what it is over the past 4 years. So I've become really invested in like I've seen all the like big musicians grow from like underground to what they are today, and it's really exciting to just kind of be a part of like shaping the scene, like documenting it, seeing like what's happening, who's doing what, how it's growing, and all of that. So I'd say like it was more for me like being a part of a growing culture.
Like, because like you're in like you and Emma are both in Nigeria. We're gonna introduce Emma just in a sec. She had some technical difficulties, but don't worry, I haven't forgotten you, Emma. But both of you both in the Nigerian scene. Like Savanna is, but you know she dabbles in and out. But both of you are both in that Afrobeat scene. You know, collecting new talent. How do you get African artists music out of Africa? Do you know what I mean? How do you expose it to someone like me who's Nigerian, but you know I'm not in Nigeria? Like what is the process? Because a lot of people, you know, are from different countries and they want to get into the music industry, but they just don't know how to, because obviously maybe like their social surroundings, and it's just different in Africa to the UK because we're already set up for it. So yeah, this floor is to Damilola. Emma, can you answer?
Emma, would you like to go? Can she hear?
Emma, can you hear us?
Oh, should I? Oh, wait. Should I answer the question or should I introduce myself?
Yeah, introduce yourself and answer the question.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Yeah, just piggybacking on what I would say. Yeah, we can hear you. You good? You're good. But yeah, introduce yourself, then you can answer the question.
Yeah, so I'm Emma, and I'm marketing manager at Kimani More Entertainment. How did I get into music? I think like I've always been into music since like I was young. Like I've always been the child that wanted to like memorize all the lyrics or like had all the latest news on like what was going on in music and entertainment. So I kind of just like always had that at the back of my mind, and somehow like things just fell into place, and I happened to also work in the music industry. I think it was just like perfect timing and place, and it kind of worked out for me.
Amazing.
So, then to answer your question, so can you hear me?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So to answer your question, I think the internet has played like a huge role in like exporting the music. I wouldn't say there's like one specific thing that like people are doing, but like everybody has like at least the people that I've worked with have just been consistently, putting out great music, putting out great visuals, and then putting it online. And like the internet has created like an opportunity for like young artists to be discovered like from all different parts of the world. So that's the first thing that like has introduced the music to like different parts of the world. Yeah.
So my next question is, as Black women in the music scene, do you feel like we see each other's representations in like higher departments? Do you know what I mean? Directors, CEOs, making those decisions. Because when I first started out in music, it's like I feel like I was a bit spoiled, only because I literally, my first internship was Adidas. No, my first internship was Channel 4. I met a lady called Priscilla. She introduced me to a lady called Akuya, who just happens to work at Adidas. Shout out to all these amazing women that's actually helped me in this lifetime. And like literally, that team, my manager was from Mauritius, Akuya was Ghanaian, Aisha was Nigerian, like, and it was very mixed and diverse. And when I went on to like other roles, it wasn't that like it was so foreign to me for me to be the only Black girl in the office. Do you know what I mean? Because it was just like, oh, okay, it's different, but I'm gonna take it on the chin. But at the same time, when there isn't a diverse team and when there isn't like people that look like us in higher positions, I do feel like it's harder to get the creative side across. So I just want to know, like, if you guys can relate any stories, maybe it's a different experience for you. But I want to start off with Portia on this one because she knows.
I don't know everything. So I mean, I think first of all, it depends on the market you're in. So for example, I'm half Jamaican, half St. Lucian, and I'm very proud Jamaican and very proud St. Lucian. I've lived and spent a lot of time in both countries. And I'm sure the ladies who are based in Africa could, kind of agree with this, depending on what part of Africa you're from as well. However, in Jamaica and in St. Lucia, it's very, very common that most of the hierarchy and the senior members of the team are females. Like in St. Lucia in Jamaica, there are so many females that are head of CEO, CO, that are directors of, the likes of, I don't want to say particular brand, but whatever brand it is, it's so common. It could be for a newspaper publication, it could be for the TV station, not only marketing departments, but within the creative space, it's such a common thing. And I think even if you look at, like in the US, for example, I know several females, and even if you were to Google, women of that are Black or Asian or Indian, for example, in senior positions, loads will come up. And even if you were to narrow it down and say Black women that are in senior positions within the music industry, or several will come up. However, in the UK, and if we look at currently what's happening right now, regarding like the show must be paused and things like that, and Black Lives Matter, is now all of a sudden people now their eyes are now open, or now they feel confident to speak about it. But for years in the UK, it has never mirrored. You know, a lot of companies, most of the team are white. And as a consultant, I get hired, and sometimes I'm in meetings and I'll have to say to like the PR team, do you actually know which artists are which? Or sometimes artists will have the wrong names on it. And it's like, because all artists look the same if they're black, right? You know, Steph London and Spice look the same, right? No, they don't.
I can relate.
Gigs in Mr. Vegas, they look the same, or you know, gigs in Skepta, they look the same. No, they don't look the same. So you know, I a lot of the times am the only black person, and sometimes the only woman, but majority of the time I'm usually the only black person in the room. And now it's kind of at a point where I think in the UK market potentially we could be kind of getting where it's a token. I don't want it to be a situation where black people, black women, or all men, you know, start to get hired for positions to be a token, but then they're still going to be in a space where their opinions and their experience and their knowledge, you know, I live, breathe, you know, dancehall, reggae, soca, Afro beats, you know, black music, grime, hip hop. Like that is not, you know, something which is just a fashion for me. I live and breathe it. I speak to the DJs, the PR people, the artists, the managers, the DSPs, you know, the different avenues. I know exactly what's happening. I don't have to guess, you know, what's currently relevant in the market or what trends are coming in. So I think that in the UK, you know, we still have a long way to go. There is starting to be change, but I do think, you know, America is ahead in regards to hiring people, not so much just because of their color, but also hiring people that actually know what they're doing within these roles, as well as it actually being, if we're looking to do, you know, if we have a music and culture department, we're actually going to hire black people, not only one black person to be that token black person within the team. And we're going to give them projects that aren't, you know, that are the bigger projects, not just the smaller projects as well. So I think the UK has a long way to go, but it's starting to make change in regards to that area.
Absolutely. Savanna, I want to know about your experiences in like America, because obviously I know it may be different in Africa or Nigeria, but you know, you working with, you know, Gucci and all of that, was the team that diverse? How did you feel? Like, what was your experience like working like that?
In America, I can agree with what Portia said, that there is a growing rise in representation. However, depending on what sectors you're looking at, I also do feel like the complete opposite is going on right now. You know, you look at America and you look at hip hop music. In my opinion, it has been severely compromised. You go to some of these outlets, you go to some of these labels, and head of hip hop is a white person. That just sounds like crazy. Like, imagine head of Afro beats was a white person. It just doesn't make sense. So a lot of people have come in and now are gatekeepers for our culture. And to me, that's something that doesn't make sense to me, and is still ongoing. I think it's getting better to some degree, but you know, I still feel like the art needs to be protected. And then when it comes to Black women in spaces, I think it's rising our roles. However, you know, the people who make those major decisions and cut a lot of those big checks at these labels are not Black people. We still don't own a lot of the culture that's being output. So I think that's also an important conversation, because then at that point, it's just representative politics. It's like, oh, like we, you know, like Portia said, we do have a token Black woman who has this position or whatever it may be, but who's really signing those checks? Who's really making those executive positions? And I think that that's very important, that we continue to put Black women in particular in these positions, because funny enough, behind the scenes in music, oftentimes on these management teams, there are Black women representing these artists, but they don't necessarily get the credit fully, you know, behind the scenes. And it's important that we echo these Black women's names in these rooms, and we spread the word that there's Black women behind these projects. Because a lot of times with these male artists who rap about drugs, women, and cars, this is a woman behind the scenes who made that happen. And not necessarily the negative messages, like even the positive messages, you know, there's a woman behind the scenes who pushed that needle forward. So I think it's important that we spread the word and encourage more Black leadership in these rooms, because we've made some feats, but I still do think we have a long way to go.
Absolutely. That was, you've hit it on the nail for me. Like, thank you for that. Because like regarding like me and Emma, I forgot to add, we both are a part of Kamani Ents. I'm more like on the UK side where, you know, I dibble dabble, but Emma's literally holding it down. And obviously the person who owns it is a lady called Kay, you know, she's killing it over here. But it's like she's a black woman, and it's like we're our own little teams. But I don't know, Emma, like when you're reaching out to brands for your artists, do you feel like people get it, or do they wait for that particular artist to blow, then they want to hop on the bandwagon? Like how is it for you as a African woman trying to come to this type of space, trying to push talent, which we all know is amazing, but trying to make publications and brands trying to get in there before it's basically our price goes up? How do you tackle that? Even though I know I help you, but this is all you.
Wait, sorry, could you
Oh, can you hear me?
wait, sorry, could you repeat the question?
The question
Yeah,
was.
sorry, there's like a delay, so like I can barely hear you.
Oh, okay. Let's speak to my mic. What I said was, you as a Nigerian in Nigeria, pushing through your artist, your Afrobeat artist, over to the UK or America, what's the struggles like for you? How do you make people in the publications, like, you know, the M&E, Crack, Fader, like you reaching out, do you feel like these brands take you seriously? How do you push the best for your artists? Because obviously, you know, it's hard enough as it is as a UK artist, so I can't imagine it as like an Afrobeat artist to, you know, push through into the scene without, you know, a feature from Wizkid or Davido or any major names like that.
Yeah. Thankfully, like the artists that I've worked with have found a way to like build a cult following, both at home and abroad. So like it was kind of easy because like the artists did the work in terms of like building an organic fan base even before like we even started reaching out. Like when things started, they were the ones reaching out to us because we had done the work about building a fan base and then growing it and also like releasing like good music and visuals. But like obviously like we have to do like a certain level of PR as our artists get bigger. So I think one thing is like we try not to like classify the artists that I work with, like Odunsi and Tay, they are not like the typical Afrobeats artists. So like we try to make sure that they aren't like boxed in because a lot of people they hear that someone from Nigeria and they automatically classify them as Afrobeats. And that's not the case because the music in Nigeria is like super diverse. There's not one sound, and I think that's one thing that we try to be very careful about. We make sure that every time like we're reaching out, we say that they're not Afro beats, they're doing like R&B or doing like Afro fusion or alt pop or something like that. And then also like I feel like reaching out sometimes like I definitely have to like, be resilient. I have to like keep, constantly being on people's cases. I have to keep sending 1,000 emails and just like making sure that I am heard because like it's definitely hard like trying to reach out to people and convince them that this artist is the next best thing. Like you have to be like the number one fan of the artist. You have to like embody the artist brand and sell the artist very well. So I think just constantly like reaching out and networking with people in the industry and then also doing our thing. Like we're not trying to like appeal to like or change for like an international audience. Like, we're doing our own thing, but like obviously like we enjoyed the growth and we want to keep on expanding. So we still do what we do, but in terms of like PR and like we just make sure that like we we stay firm on our branding. We don't change for anyone, and then we just keep on trying to connect with people in the industry. Like relationships are like very key in this industry, and just
Definitely.
knowing certain people can do a lot for us. Like because like the way we've come up, like we've grown with having different relationships in the industry, and that has helped us over the years because like that is one thing that's helped us a lot, just like maintaining those relationships and just being in the right place at the right time. Sometimes it just happens, you know.
But I think also that's where we come in as like a publication. Like we're the ones who are telling stories about these artists. Like we're the ones who are like bridging the gap between the audience.
Yewi, I'm about to connect with my other phone. So if I cut off, just accept me again.
Okay, no problem. But yes, Damilola.
Yeah, I was saying we're the ones who kind of connect. We connect these musicians to the audience. Like we're the ones who are telling their stories. We're the ones who are making them, like we're telling people like, oh, you want to be listening to this person. Like this, like say Odunsi, for instance, he makes really good music. This other person, like we have this, we have a monthly column called Fresh Meat where we like discover new talent every month. Like we literally like go and find like just brand new musicians, some with like 500 followers, some with thousands of followers, just like looking for who's actually making good music and being like, everyone listens to this person because they're really good. And I think like that's what we're here for. Like we're actually here to just be like, okay, this is who's doing stuff around us and this is who everybody should be listening to.
But with Native, those who don't know what Native Mag is a company, it's an online publication based in Nigeria, but I don't see them only just posting about Nigerian artists. They do a lot of African artists. And obviously, where the gap between Nigeria and the Caribbean, I feel like we're all meshing in real nicely, when it comes to music, only because I feel like when it comes to the Western world, I don't feel like some people don't understand the difference between what dancehall is, what alter is, what Afrobeat is, or or what reggae is. Do you know how many times, like, no shade, how many times I see Americans and they'll be like, dancehall is reggae, and I'm Nigerian. I'm like, nah, that's different things. It's a different vibe. Do you know what I mean? Same people, but it's a different swag to it. So, like, as Native, how are you guys trying to represent the diasporas as well, or is it sticking to the core?
Savanna, I think that was for you.
Oh, I thought it was.
No, it's Damilola.
Hello, sorry, my internet cut out for a second.
Oh, can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you now.
I just said, as Native Mag is based in Africa, how do you guys represent the diasporas as well? Because obviously I'm a fan of Native, but I don't live in Nigeria. But at the same time, I feel like Afrobeat, dancehall, they're all coming together. Like the Caribbean artists, Tiwa Savage has got some sort of amazing Caribbean artists, vice versa. And I feel like now that our music's coming together, like we're working as one, how do you guys represent people that are not African but from African heritage?
Well, yeah, we're Pan-African, like we cover Pan-African like music and all of that stuff. So as long as you're African, regardless of what kind of music you're making, who you're making it with, like that's who we're trying to cover, that's who we're uplifting and all of that. So mainly, like obviously because we're in Nigeria, we have closer proximity to Nigeria, like to what's going on in Nigeria, but we tend to look for like anyone of any kind of African descent, and really our main thing is just good music. Like as long as, because we have like a really small newsroom, and like we just kind of share ideas, like what are you listening to, like as long as we think that the music is good, we'll like uplift and cover it and make sure that like everyone's seeing it and listening.
So everyone in this, Damilola says, as long as your music is good, send it to Native Mag, and we will see what they could do. That's it. That's the plug. Regarding my next question is regarding the show must be paused. I just want to know how each and every one of you guys felt about the show must be paused. Like, I know it wasn't very dominant in Nigeria, but I know it was in the UK we did it, and I know in America we did it. But it's just more like, because when I saw that hashtag, it kind of triggered me, only because companies that I've generally worked for, and I've generally been the only person of color in the building, and I can see how they're saying that we stand together I know I work with a lot of artists. I know a lot of artists that's been swindled out of money, just signing the incorrect deals, not reading the paperwork. I've been in venues where, venue owners are like, all our shows are high risk. So when I see stuff like that and, companies just posting, I want to know your guys' thoughts on before and after and what we expect from companies now, because I'm not here to bash no company I've ever worked with. I'm just here to educate and share a bit of my history in the music industry. And just, I want everyone to learn from this, whether you're a hiring manager, a director. I just want people to move forward with this movement that we're going now. So I'm going to go to Savanna on that one. You can start off for us.
The Show Must Be Paused was a great initiative. It was started by 2 Black women. And I think it was a great starting point. However, I do feel like the music industry in particular has a social and moral responsibility to uplifting the Black Lives Matter movement and Black initiatives as a whole. What was interesting to me with the music industry pausing for the day, and this is something I'm working on a think piece it's going to be coming out over the next couple of weeks with a major outlet, is, yes, we paused for the day. However, the music industry and these major labels are a big fraction of the capitalism structure. So with them pausing, it's like, okay, yes, today we think about Black lives, but like on 364 days of the year, are we going to continue to promote gang culture and misogyny? There's it's much deeper than that, because they keep signing those sorts of talents and less progressive acts. And I think that that's also a very big part of pushing the Black Lives Matter movement forward, is making sure that we're projecting the best images of African American people or Black people as a whole. And, I know Black people, we're not monolithic. However, I think that record labels have a social moral responsibility because they account for so much of entertainment export. So I do think it's important that they hone in specifically on how they're going to help shape the narrative of the Black community, because right now they have a very big influence. So I think that that's cool. I see other companies that, participated in Blackout Tuesday. And, they, diverge funds to different initiatives, whether it's bail relief funds and things like that. All that is cool and all. However, what are you doing 364 days of the year pushing the Black cause forward? Because it's no coincidence that Black people internationally are severely disenfranchised. So I think it's important that these corporations, they step up and they talk with their dollars. You know what I'm saying? Like put your money where the mouth is.
Your mouth is.
But however,
yeah.
However, that's just a starting point, because I know that, demanding money from the same people who oppressed us, that doesn't even make sense. So I think it's important that Black people, more than ever from the diaspora, we come together and we push the cause forward with one another. No segmentation anymore. It's important that Black Americans and Caribbeans and Africans are all in the same room having these important conversations and making sure that we're preserving our culture and pushing it forward.
I love that. I love it. Yes. Portia, I'm going to go to you because, we had this conversation. But please enlighten me. Like, let the people know. Like, how do you feel about the show?
Savanna definitely, very well said, Savanna. What I would kind of say, and in addition to what you said, so a lot of people who don't work in the music industry were posting Blackout Tuesday, right? That shows you how influential music is. But do a lot of people actually know that music is released on a Friday? So what would have been interesting if the narrative had changed and it would have been Blackout Friday, and actually see how much money would have been lost then. You have to also remember we're in COVID right now, and usually at record labels or at corporate companies, you would get a volunteer day or a volunteer week, a mental health day or mental health week, where you get time off work paid for. So whereby everyone's working from home now, people's holiday and annual leave and benefits are obviously changing because of that. So yes, I think that the Show Must Be Paused was definitely a great initiative, and it's a great movement. It had to happen sooner rather than later globally. But we have to actually understand certain things, like music is released on a Friday, not on a Tuesday. I would have loved to have seen a Blackout Friday, or moving forward a Blackout Friday. And that doesn't mean that music is then released on the Monday, or actually having like a whole month where music isn't released from, their top earning acts, for example. The last, maybe the acts that are smaller, their music would still be released on a Friday or whatever day of the week it is. But we have to actually understand the mechanics of, the record labels and the music industry. So that's kind of like my thought process on on Blackout Tuesday. It was like Tuesday, middle of the week, is not going to really, be a miss in the music industry. Yes, it was a stance, but me understanding how the music business works, it's like Tuesday, who's going to really miss a Tuesday? That kind of thing. Tuesday is not like the most important day of the week. So that was kind of my stance on that. I think it's the first time I've really seen the UK, the US, Canada, the Caribbean, and Africa stand on a whole as one. I haven't, to be honest, really seen it other than, during, like, for example, like quarantine, I'm in lockdown, things like platforms like Versus, for example, we've seen everyone kind of get together all over the world watching the same kind of content. But in regards to standing for something that matters, it's the first time I've seen globally, it's not, an African against Caribbean thing. It's not an American against British thing. Everyone was just like, do you know what? We've actually had enough. And collectively, and it was women that, stood up and was just like, actually, we've had enough of this. I think that it's great that, companies that, not just record labels, but companies who, it could be, an Audi, BMW, whoever it might be, Tesco's, Walmart, they're now saying, we're going to put funding towards things. But actually, who is the person who's deciding where that funding goes? And we have to make sure that the funding is going to the right places. That is, a whole conversation within itself. But also, when, young Black females are in high school, for example, and they're filling out college applications, whether it be in the UK, Africa, Canada, the Caribbean, or the US, what are their options regarding internship and work experiences? When they send in the application, is it because of how their name is
as well?
Right? Is it because of how what their name is, or how their name is spelled, or the area they come from? They automatically don't even get a look into that internship. And it's internship. I've had several, internships and work experiences, and I definitely think, spending money is one thing, but I'm a great believer in education and practical experience, which is why a lot of the times when, Black females and Black males, come out of high school, they don't get certain opportunities. So then they go to apply for a job and they get told they have no experience, but then their white counterparts do, is because they got that internship that we didn't get. So I think, it's definitely, spending the money in the right places is one thing. Who are the people, the gatekeepers, actually deciding where that money goes? And also, making sure the infrastructure we're actually employing, whenever I have budgets for projects, I always, if I know somebody who is Black who can do that job, I'm always hiring them. People will tell you, like in the US, I pass PR projects to people. I'm very much of a leader by example. I can't be, on, for example, today speaking with everyone, if I know personally when I've had those opportunities to pay a Black person or hire a Black person, I'm not doing it. And it's not about hiring a token Black person. Actually, I know someone who's a great photographer. I know someone who's a great stylist. They happen to be Black, but if I didn't give them the opportunity to work with, whatever brand it might be or whatever label, they wouldn't have been given that to put on their portfolio. So when we are in those positions, bless you, when we are in those positions, to make sure, we are consciously making those decisions, because we can't expect others to do it if we aren't doing it ourselves. And I'm very, very big on that. And even things, for example, when I get budgets for things, making sure that talent get paid as fair as possible. Sometimes, Black talent, aren't being paid what they should be paid. And sometimes, Caribbean artists and even Afrobeat artists, they get paid lower than a pop artist. But then actually, if you look at their streams on certain platforms, they're sometimes getting more in that market. So why should they not be paid equivalent to what, a pop artist, for say, would be getting paid? So those are my couple thoughts on that topic.
No, you hit it on the nail, everything. Like, thank you for that. Emma and Damilola, I know you guys are not you guys are in Nigeria, but I want to, like, how is it? The same question kind of applies with the show must be paused. Damilola, you briefly told me, it really didn't happen there, but do you feel like it needs to happen? Because, like Portia just said, the acts that you guys put on and you guys promote, they're not really getting paid how they should be getting paid. So, do you feel like a movement like that can go on in Africa? Or how can we go about in changing that scene or that stereotype, of our artists not getting paid what they should be getting paid? Damilola, you can answer that one. Then we lead into Emma. Sorry, I realized Sheila was just looking at me.
My internet just keeps going in and out. I told you about the rain, and it just doesn't really work sometimes. But I'm back on.
Did you hear me? Did you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, I can hear you.
What I said was, I know the show must be paused wasn't.
Yeah, I heard you.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, kindly answer. What are your thoughts?
I think for me personally, when all of that was going on, there was also so much else going on here. Like we had there was a whole week where we just kept hearing about so many cases of like girls who were being raped and killed, and we also had a case of police brutality where there was a 16-year-old who got shot by police here as well. So it just kind of obviously on social media there was the whole uproar, everybody was in arms about Black Lives Matter, but it just made me think there's so much going on at home as well. We need to be there's stuff going on at home that isn't getting as much attention. We're not really as Nigerians, we're more focused on what's happening outside of Nigeria, and it just made us kind of think surely we need to be doing things here at home as well. We need to be cleaning up our own streets and doing things so we set up a fund for one of the victims and that kind of thing. But it just made me think it's all we also have big problems here that we need to look inwards about and figure out how we can sort our own selves out as well.
Hopefully, I feel like that should lead into sorting out artists as well. Maybe obviously it might not be the right time, but later on. But think that. And Emma, what are your thoughts on all of that?
I mean, like Dami said, had a lot on around the same time, and we had to look into issues even within our industry, rape and rape culture, change that narrative within our industry here. That was something that was very prevalent around that time, that a lot of things happened. But being that our company has representation both here and in different parts of the country, obviously we were in tune with everything that was going on, because our CEO Kimani, she's one of the people that kind of rallied companies to actually put money down and donate to a bunch of different organizations. So we were both in tune with everything that was going on abroad and as well as at home, because there's a lot that has to be changed in the industry in Nigeria and as well as around the world.
Thank you on that. Shout out to Kamaniense. Put him down. Well done. Last question, ladies. For time. My last question. I want to know, how would you guys, what would you say to younger girls who want to get into the industry? Whether it's music, PR, marketing, how, as a Black woman, with the stuff that you guys have all gone through, what would you tell them? Just imagine it's your younger self. What would you be telling your younger self? So Emma, since you last spoke, want to start with you?
I think for me, I would tell the younger girls is that apply for that job. There's a thing that says that men apply for jobs that they are maybe 60% qualified for, and then they will apply for it anyways. Meanwhile, a lot of women wait until maybe they're 90 to 100% qualified for a job before they apply. I would say you should apply anyway, because you just never know where the opportunity will come. Like if you can imagine something, just do it, because a lot of times the opportunity might not even come to you, but sometimes you just need to like kind of create your own thing. Like the industry can be going in one separate way, and then you can also just do your own thing. Like there's no rules to this life. A lot of times we were doing things like strictly by certain rules before COVID hit, and then everybody's plans just changed, and we all had to like try and scramble to figure out like alternative routes to do things. And that's just like how life is. Like you just never know how things are going to happen. So I think you should like just create your own rules and just never give up. And then also when you are the person that you get through that door, and like you get into the building, and you get a seat at that table, just always make sure to like open the door for other people coming behind you. And just always be good to people, because you just never know in this industry, you just never know what encounter can lead to a bag, or perhaps something else, like an opportunity. So like just always be good to people, and then just always make sure that you open the door for people coming behind you, because we are pretty much all we have. Like we have to support each other. So you can't just say you're going to do it alone. You have to bring other people with you. You have to empower other people, and pass it on. So that's what I would say.
That was beautiful, man. Damilola, what would you say to people trying to get into the industry?
I would say
what would your advice be?
I think like the most important thing for like women in general is that we should always just be confident in like ourselves, and confident. Like there are always people who are trying to tell a woman at the like head of table to like how to be, what to do, how to like be the way she's supposed to be to stay there. But it's just kind of like you'll always find those people, and it's just always best to like stay true to yourself and make sure that you're grounded in what you want to do at all times. Otherwise, like you can get distracted, you can like be thrown off course, and it's just not productive in that sense. So yeah, my main thing is just staying true
Savanna?
to yourself and knowing what you're planning for.
So literally staying true to yourself is key, man. Like you know yourself better than anyone else. So I love the fact that you said that. Savanna, have you got anything else to add on that?
I would just say for any young woman who's thinking about getting into this industry, just put your all into it. Don't take things personal. A lot of stuff that we come in contact with and encounter in this industry is just business, and a lot of things I have to just kind of charge it to the game. So I definitely think it's important that you have a tough skin and you understand the game that you've walked into, because it's definitely a game. But yeah, just push through, find mentors. I think mentors are really important. Seek internship opportunities. Utilize social media, because social media is able to connect us to the entire world. Somebody could be in their living room in Nigeria, but be having a conversation with somebody all the way in Sacramento, California. So I think it's amazing how the internet opens up just the world. Like the world has now become a phone book. So I think it's important that you utilize social media to connect with people all around the globe, and just stay true to yourself. Never get lost in this stuff, because it's not real,
Defo, I love that. Last but not least, Portia, any gems?
I definitely think the ladies touched on quite a lot of good points. I think so. For me, it'll be kind of like a couple of ways of how I'll answer your question. I think the first thing is like to my younger self, and like to a younger Portia who's like 14 and wants to work in music. I definitely would be, as Savanna said, work experience, internships. If you can work for free to get that first foot in the door, do it. I did several work experiences before I got my first paid gig. My first paid job within the music industry. So, and also don't kind of have it, don't like some people kind of say, I want to work in live events and that's all I want to do. But, some people might start in PR. I didn't start where I am now. So in music, a lot of people, exactly. So a lot of people, they move around, and where you start is not you're going to end it. I think as well for a younger me would definitely be to dream big, and no dream is too small. that might sound cliche, but I always knew from age 13 I've worked in music, and I'm now not 13 that, you know, I work in music. So I definitely think, you know, younger self would be to dream big and to aim towards it, and don't be kind of like fixed on just doing one thing within the music industry. See where your journey takes you. If you can do free work, do free work. And also remember that manners you meet when you're 13 and 15, you can meet when you're 20 and 30. I think once you gain experience, I think social media is very good, but I'm someone, you know, a lot of what I do is not even on my social media page. I'm very big on LinkedIn. I've been headhunted by some of the big companies in the world, you know, in regards to heading up music departments and stuff like that, or consultancy jobs. LinkedIn, you know, I don't work for LinkedIn, you know, I must say, but LinkedIn is very, very important. It's you know, those who don't know, it's a social platform that is for professionals. So that's definitely, you know, something to look at. You know, look at platforms like She Said So, for example, and see other women within the creative space that you want to work with or that you aspire to be like, and then you can send them a message or ask them for their email address. Networking is very, very, very important. People move around to different companies. The people that I met when I was interning, and now, you know, I'm, you know, giving them projects, or they're giving me projects and things like that. So and always remember, you know, put your best foot forward, and that will, you know, steer you through life. Always put your best foot forwards. Those are kind of like the advices that I would give. Oh, and kind of like on a personal note with music, don't get lost in the sauce, as Savanna was saying. But if you are a freelancer, I'm a consultant, you know, COVID is something which has showed everyone. If you can save. You know, don't live for the moment. I think a lot of times people come into the music industry and they're young, you know, because of what they see, the glitz and glam, and everyone makes out like, you know, everybody in music is rich. Not everybody in music is rich. And with that being said, don't get lost in the sauce. And if you can save, you know, try and save your money and put it towards different courses, or different books, or different, you know, art articles and magazine platforms that are reflective of the music industry or marketing industry, within the creative space or fashion. And, you know, invest in your craft, whether it be your laptop, going on trips that have other people to network, different festivals where you can meet people. Use your money wisely while you can, and while, you know, you are young. So those are the kind of like tips I would give.
Love it. No, like, just to pick out everything that you guys just said, I just feel like clean hearts always win. So if you're going to an interview, regardless of if you feel like you may not get this role, make sure your personality comes through. I realize that a lot of people like me because I'm high. I think I am. And, you know, it's like I always give my time to people, and I always, you know, if you don't get a job, always email back, say, like, you know, this job, consider, like, think of me for something else. So you never know, an employer is thinking when they're looking at you. That's say positive. You got to surround yourself with, you know, strong characters. Like, my friends are in this now, you know, shout out, because like everyone said, music is not, I've had to have my friends hold me down for a long time, you know, like I went out to America to even, you know, live the dream, because I know this is something I wanted to do, but there's no blueprint. So always think as if the box is there. Like, that's like my only gem. Do you know what I mean? Think about how you can go the extra mile in yourself, and yeah, just stay true to yourself. But
I think she's frozen.
I think so
I
too.
thought mine was
email,
frozen. I thought it was me
shout
who
out,
was
She Said
frozen.
So. But
Oh yeah, you were frozen for
was
a
I
bit.
frozen? Sorry, I live near a train station. I'm surprised this didn't happen sooner. Oh well, I was giving my little shout out, but you know, I want to thank you all on this panel, you know, for allowing me your time, emailing you, you know, thank you for responding and being here, and like, and I appreciate it. Want to thank out to She Said So. That is my sister unit. You know, I had an
Thank you, She
idea
Said
and they let me run with it. So please, like and subscribe on all platforms. And She Said So. You know, the UK chapter is about to do amazing things. I know there's a couple of Americans in here. We've got an American chapter. So, and hopefully one day we have like, you know, a West African chapter. We've got a South African chapter. But don't worry, we're growing bigger and better.
Yes.
I just really want to thank everyone who just killed it today. Like, thank you guys so much. But any
Thank you for
questions,
having
anyone, feel
us.
free to DM me, because I know some of you guys have questions in, but we just haven't got enough time. We're just going on with the flow and like, you know, yeah. But yeah, thank you all. Adrian, I see you.
Lovely to
Thank
meet you all,
you.
ladies. Thank
Everyone,
you.
Thank you for having me.
have a lovely evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
How do I cut off?